I hope you're like me and you look forward to these webinars. They're a sacred part of my life. And, because it's a rhythmic monthly thing, I hope it's setting kind of a pace in your life for connecting with the knowledge, with the teachings of acupressure, and with me. So, I've got 5 things to share with you for this webinar. I want to welcome you to the 5-element webinar 7 on the earth element. This is our second month on the earth element. We're going to cover specific, really important aspects of working with this element. Why it's so important, why it's so essential, why I think you're going to want to really focus on it even more than the other elements. The second thing I want to cover are the Qigong exercises and how to put them in perspective. Number 3, let's go over acupressure first aid points. I'd like to show you 5 of them. Where they're located, what they're good for in relationship to first aid. Number 4, let's work with, it's a question that I got asked, which is, how do you work on clients who just don't get back to you or can't afford it? Yeah, that's a practical one. And 5th, let's deal with how do you deal with digestive issues? Because I've given you 3 different ways to deal with digestive issues, through wood, through the fire, and now through the earth. The question is so how do you deal with this? How do you decide? Well, so we'll talk about that. And then, of course, there'll be the Song of Songs. Look, the earth is all about feeling good about being here in your body, in life. When you're experiencing things, are you really here? Some people aren't. I'm broadcasting this. I'm reaching people from all over the world. And I'll tell you, in my world, in my culture, so many people have earth imbalances. What do I mean by that? They're not present. They're in their heads. Or they're worried. What are they worried about? They're worried about everything, anything. Or maybe they're just expecting things, that it should be this way or that way. The earth is about feeling good about being here now. That's so, so important in life. So I think that actually the earth element is probably the most important element for your overall health. It governs digestion. Where do we get our food? We get it from the earth. And where does it go? It goes into our stomach. The stomach and the spleen and the pancreas govern the earth element. Now, I just want to, I've talked about all these things before, but I'm reviewing this in the context of, well, how do you know? And do you know? I want you to be clear that you do know. That when you're dealing with a client who you can just see that he or she is worried about things, that he or she is just not really with you when they talk to you. Do they really look you in the eyes? Are they really in the present moment? You're going to find that people are out to lunch, that people are somewhere else, that they're not fully here, that they're not in their body. And you know what it really has to do with? It has to do with trust. And we got this when we were little kids, of whether or not we trusted ourselves, whether or not our parents or our caretakers actually trusted us to be in our bodies, to make good judgments. You know, if our parents were on edge every single step of the way, oh, you might fall. You might, at a certain point, if you learn to trust yourself, that's so great. That sense of security, of balance, of stability comes from the earth element. So if a person is ungrounded, unstable, they're spaced out, they're really not here, or let's say, here's something else, very important. Let's say the person doesn't have clear boundaries. They really aren't clear about what their limits are. That's really important. You have to be here on earth to establish where your boundaries are with another human being, with exercise, with diet, how much you eat, what is good for you, making great decisions for yourself. It comes from the earth. Okay, so being here now really is the joy of life. And, so many things happen here and now that it can get to be like, oh my God, I don't know, like, where's the perspective in life? In traditional Chinese medicine, it comes from the ability to, in a balanced way, be able to reflect on what's occurred, what's happened, to learn from it, to assimilate it, to digest it. Digestion, stomach, spleen, pancreas, govern digestion. Okay, but let's say the person is, in order for them to digest, they have to go back into the past and really like relive stuff, and that's where there are, is that they're still worried about what happened, and maybe they're regretting, or they're feeling guilty about what happened. That spaces you out. That cuts you off of the earth. This is something that you can cultivate, and you can help your friends and your clients cultivate. And this is why I'm talking to you about it. Okay, so your self-worth. How do you feel about yourself? If we go around doubting ourselves, worried about our decisions, or worried about our relationships, and worried about what's going to happen, we're not here now. And what happens is it cuts off our energy system. We get our nourishment, not only our food, but our energy from being here now. Take a deep breath and do it. Be here with me now. Taking that deep breath, feeling your body, being in your body is a great thing. I learned that from my father. I'm not here to talk about my father. He was a wonderful guy, and it was a great example. He loved being in his body. He loved being with people in the present moment. He taught me to look people in the eyes. Just like right now I'm looking at you in the camera. And, we're here together. Take another deep breath. So from that, here's something that will help you. Exercise. If you exercise a little bit every day, what do I mean by exercise? I could mean aerobic. I could mean using weights. I could mean stretching. I mean any and all of that. Whatever gets you into your body. All of those forms of exercise will do it. When you're in your body, you have already a great sense of yourself, and it bolsters and cultivates the energy in your body, the earth element. Now, without that, you're worried, you're doubting yourself, it cuts off your energy, and it turns into chronic fatigue and or fibromyalgia. These are conditions that we can help people with by working on the earth element, by working on the stomach and spleen meridians, also the kidney meridian, because actually, if the earth element is too much there. What do I mean by too much? Let's say a person is so with you. Oh my God, I just feel so, I mean, if they're just so syrupy sweet in their intent, I mean, it kind of feels good, for somebody to pay attention to you and give you that. But if they're so like on you and kind of clinging to you and so sweet to you, like never would they judge you, or would they be really, really completely honest about what they see, because so all they see is, you're like the pie in the sky. That's an imbalance. It turns into a dependency. There's an imbalance there in the earth. Now, one way you can see imbalances, you can hear it, because in the stomach there may be excessive gurgling. In the stomach there may be excessive belching or burping. Where's that coming from? It's coming from the earth. It's coming from the stomach. The stomach gets its food from the earth. It's all related, you see. Okay, so if a person has food cravings, or they have food eating disorders, it's an imbalance in the earth element. And through exercise and through being in your body, you can really help people a tremendous amount with that. So here's another thing that you'll find is that people tend to overeat, and especially overeat sweets. And that creates an imbalance within the earth element. What balances it? Take a deep breath and breathe into something that you appreciate. Maybe even this course. Maybe the teachings of traditional Chinese medicine. Maybe the points that you're learning. Maybe a relationship that you're in, or something about your work, or something about your being, something about a friend that you have that is really dear and sacred. When you're appreciating things in your life, it counteracts worry. It makes your earth element whole. It develops the sweetness of life. Being here on earth. Appreciating what you have. Now, I know, there's one thing that I know, and that is, as healers, as good people who want to heal others, we tend to worry even about that, because we don't want to do the wrong thing. Am I speaking your language? Do you know what I'm talking about? I want you to feel safe, especially in doing this healing work. And one way you can do that is simply to work on the earth element, to work on the stomach meridian, the ST points, and the spleen meridian, the SP points. Now let's analyze this just very quickly. Both of them go into the legs. The spleen meridian comes up the inside of the leg, whereas the stomach meridian goes down the outside leg through stomach 36 and the top of the foot and into the second and third toes. Spleen meridian is coming up from the large toe. All of those points, go ahead, all of what points? Go look at a chart and look at any of the SP points or the ST points from the knees down, especially ST36. These are the most potent points that you'll never go wrong with on any human being. Work on the stomach and spleen meridian. Now, I want to show you something. The stomach meridian is going down like this. Okay? And as it goes down, the spleen meridian is coming up like this. And as it comes up, they actually cross where? in the groin, where your legs join the trunk of your body. Right at SP 12 and 13. There's an inguinal ligament. Go ahead. Go like this and rub. This is around the line of your underpants. This is around the line of your crease, where your thigh joins the trunk of your body. You know this. I've taught you this. I'm going over it again, so it's like, oh yeah, I got it. I know this. Michael's taught me this. You know, this is where the stomach and the spleen cross. Yeah. Where things cross, they tend to get blocked up. So definitely find ways to use your hands on SP 12 and 13 that are non-invasive. In other words, you have you're conscious that your fingertips are away from the genitals. It's okay, let's say if you turn your hands and the heel of your hand here is touching the tip of the pubic bone, because there's actually a point there. That's ST 30. On your way down to ST 36. Very powerful point where energy tends to block up. Okay, so we just had a nice review of the earth element. And that was the first thing I wanted to cover with you. So we're off to a good start. The second thing I wanted to do in this webinar is to talk about the Qigong healing routines. We started with wood. We went to fire, a fire Qigong. And the last 2 months, we've done the earth Qigong routine. You can begin to put them together. Start with fire, start with earth, start with wood, the first that we started with, the first element, then go to fire, routine, and then earth. And then later on, when we cover metal and water, you can start and make this a full flow, a full Qigong routine, if you've got the time. You can do any one or any two of the Qigong exercises. I hope you're practicing them daily. It's okay if you miss a day or two. I hope that you actually miss it because you like to do it. Why? Because it makes you feel good to be in your body. Okay, here we go. I'm going to now show you 5 acupressure points that I consider, and I call them, the acupressure first aid points. Now there's many other examples of acupressure first aid. These are the 5 I wanted to show you right now, because there is a person out there in the world in our acupressure 5 elements course that asked me, Michael, can you show us some acupressure first aid examples? So the first point I'd like to show you is where your nose, in between your nose and your, you know this point. It's right here. Oh, that point got away from me. Okay, I gotta, because of the mustache, gotta press it a little firmer. Okay, so there it is. Press it on yourself. It's a great point. Well, you saw it. This is GV24, right here. And it's 2/3 of the way up from your lip to your nose. So you're pressing onto your gum firmly. It's called the middle of the person. Let me tell you what this is good for. It's good for counteracting dizziness. Let's say somebody gets so dizzy that they start to lose it. They start to lose consciousness. Press the point. It's a first aid point for regaining consciousness. If a person is unconscious, press the point. Release it on the 3 levels. Now, it's a great point to know for convulsions, and it's a good point to know if there's a person that tends to have epileptic seizures. GV24. There we go. So, I think you probably know this point, like long ago, for nosebleeds. You put a little cloth underneath here, it presses the point. if you have a nosebleed, and stops the nosebleed. There's just this nice little pressure right here. Well, you don't have to have the cloth, you can use the cloth, whatever. But the point is, it's right here, and it helps to relieve nosebleeds. Okay, so another acupressure point that I'd like to show you, that's a first aid point, is at the tip of your little finger. Right, put it right here and show you. Can you see it right there? I'm going to go in a little closer. So you can see right where the nail meets the inside of the nail. That's that's H9, heart 9. And what you want to do, like this, is you go in and you slowly apply the pressure in and squeeze equally on both sides, so that you're getting the first point here on the small intestine meridian, right there, and you're also getting this heart 9 point here on the other side of your pinky finger. That's a first aid point for a heart attack. It's a point that's known to rejuvenate the heart. Now, it's very important for me to give you the priority. The priority is to call a doctor. If there's nobody that will call the doctor for you, don't do acupressure. Call, here in this country we call 911. Whatever the emergency number is, or however you can get a doctor. If you have to go run for one into a medical clinic, if you use your cell phone, whatever you need to do to get medical attention as immediately as you can, that's your number one priority. Number two is to do the acupressure first aid, squeeze, and it's also this biting down using your molars. No, you don't go fast. You go in really slowly, but firmly. Okay, so another acupressure point that helps to balance the heart is right here. This is heart 7. Heart 9, right there. Okay. And heart 7. Heart 7 is the heart source point, so it balances the energy in the heart meridian. So if I go just a little farther out, I feel a big bump there. I go inside of that bump on the wrist crease, and that gets me to the point. So you also know that there's another point right here that happens to be just below the thumb, and that's the source point for the lung. Lung, heart. Lungs and heart are both in the same quadrant of the body. Okay, a couple more first aid points, and then we're going to go into another subject. A very important first aid point is lung 1. So you find the ball joint, go inside of that, and it takes you to the upper outer part of your chest, and that's lung 1. It's about 3 finger widths from your collarbone. And the way I find it is hands-on. What do I mean? I mean, when I'm pressing it, I'm feeling for tension or soreness. Or I ask the person, what's sore, here, here, or here? And I go slowly with that. So, because soreness or tension are the key indications that the point is blocked. Now it's of course on both sides. So this is how I like to do it on myself. And here's what lung 1 is good for in terms of first aid. It's good for a person who is having difficulty breathing. Go ahead. Breathe. It's good for you. It feels good. It's a good point for panic. Sometimes when you're in a panic, you need first aid because you can't breathe and you can't function. Anxiety. And also if the chest just feels so tight and oppressed, this is a really good point. Okay, let me show you one more. And it's a point that's on the bottom of the foot. First, let me show it to you. And then, let me tell you what it's good for. There we go. This is K1, bubbling spring. And it is a third of the way. You draw a line down the right down the center of your foot, and on that line, a third of the way down is the point, or 2/3 of the way up. Okay, and that point in reflexology relates to the adrenals, and the adrenals are right on top of the kidneys. This is the first point on the kidney meridian, and it's good for relieving, in terms of first aid, convulsions. It's also a good point to know for epilepsy. Now, I mentioned epilepsy here for balancing balancing the energy and helping a person come to. This is a great point also for the earth. This is GV24. Actually, I've been saying GV24. This is actually GV26. So I made a mistake, and I'm not using my third finger. I made a mistake. This is GV26. GV24.5 is here. GV26. Previously, I'd said 20. I made a mistake. So here it is, GV26. Glad I caught that. You would have caught it. I know you are also on to me and my mistakes. I am dyslexic, so this is a good point for dyslexia. I'm going to press this point a lot more. Okay, now, this point right here that I just showed you, where my finger is a great point for not only convulsions and epilepsy, but also for choking when a person can't swallow. I think it's a good point to press if somebody is just really out of it, basically. Convulsions. Okay. So we've covered 5 points for, and you might want to review this, just this much so that you can assimilate exactly what they're good for and all that, or take notes. Hey, I'm providing you notes, so I make it easy for you. The notes are a PDF download that you can have. Every month you have. Just reminding you. I hope that this is working for you. So we've just got a couple more questions. And the next question is, what if you have a client who feels better after a session, but they just don't have the time, or they don't have the money. That's the most common. They don't have the money to come back, but they're feeling better. Let's say even if they weren't feeling better, let's say they had a headache afterwards, and you show them what to do, and say, gee, the energy got released. It's indicating to me that there's certain points underneath your skull and in your head that need to be released more. So we did a good job last time, but it got stuck. And we need, I would love to work with you more. Look, if you mean it, look them in the eyes and really tell them why. It may be because of the way they responded, and how deeply they breathed. They were breathing so deeply and wonderfully and responding to the session. It may be just the heart, this wonderful heart that this person has such a wonderful heart. Maybe an emotional connection with you that you have with them, or a spiritual connection, or whatever. Just the connection, human connection. So it's important, I think, that you express that to people. In terms of people coming back, that's important. But if the bottom line is that they can't afford it, what do? Well, let me tell you what I would do. I would say to them that I understand, $50 or whatever you charge is a lot of money, and I get that it's difficult to pay. Look, I tell them I really want to reach people, especially people like you, who I feel a connection with. And so what I'd like to do is to offer a trade. And what I'd like to do is, instead of you paying $50, you just pay $15. The other $35 we would do in trade. So what we would explore now is either your skills or what you like to do, or some of the things that I need. I might need a vegetable garden. I might need, my pants sewed up, or I need some sewing, or let's say I need some typing or some dictation, or I have a child and I would very value having you child sit, or many other things. In other words, you explore this. But if the person says, I can't afford even the $15, and then you even say, well, for you I'll do it for $10. But it's important to me that you pay something, because then you'll continue to value it. But let's say that they come and they do the child sitting, or they do the typing, or they do a vegetable garden, and their energy is so good, and they're such wonderful people. Look, I'd really make an exception there and not have them pay anything. Just have them, purely do the work trade. I'm giving you some examples of how I would deal with somebody who can't afford it. And I'm sure in your heart you want to reach, lots of people. So that's how. And here's another thing I would tell them. I'd say, look, if you love my sessions, if you like the way I was, and because you got results, if you can tell other people, if you get just one client, I'll definitely give you a free session. You get 2 clients, I'll give you 3 free sessions. Give them an incentive. And give them some choices. And what I want to encourage you to do when you work on people is to follow up. After you work on them that evening or the next day, call them up and see how they're doing. And tell them that this is part of, you care about the people that you work on. And that's why there's no extra, there's nothing extra about it. It's just that you care and you want to be in touch with them and find out how they're doing. And, if they felt nauseous after a session, you would certainly show them this point right here, the inner gate. 3-finger wrists, and it's right here. Right in the center. And then you hold on the other side, too. Okay, one more question. And then we're going to do an earth element song. Probably my favorite, or the most popular that I've ever written in my whole life. I have the most fun with it, actually. So the reason why it's an earth element song is because it's all about not worrying. Why worry in life? It just destroys the earth element. It takes you out of being in the present moment. And it's not worry. Did you know that worry is not good for your digestion? And that gets us to the next question, which is, I've given you 3 different ways to deal with digestive issues. Well, which one do you use? The one for wood, for fire, or for earth? Well, most of the time, for digestive imbalances, indigestion, gas, side stitches, and just the inability to assimilate your food, you would work on the earth element primarily. Start with that, because that could be the most beneficial. As I want to make sure that you heard me say this if I didn't say it. It's the safest element to work on. It will balance the body's energy more effectively than any other element. And for those reasons, I encourage you to start with and to feel free to work on the earth element. So let's talk a little bit more about specifics of digestive problems, because that's what this person asked me. Like, what if you have a client who has irritable bowel syndrome? It's not only they can't digest, but they've got irritable bowel syndrome. Now, for that, I would work also with the earth element, but I'd also work with the metal element, which is governed by the lung and the large intestine. And I'd certainly work on the acupressure point that's right here. Right here's my belly button, and you go 2-finger whisk below. CV17. CV17 is right here. CV6. CV6 for irritable bowel syndrome. Okay, what about for gastritis and acid reflux? For that, I would work on the earth element, the stomach and spleen meridians. That includes the pancreas, because the spleen and pancreas are linked together. And then, let's say the person's a little better, but it's still not right. Continue to work on the earth element, but also check out the fire, because the fire element is what feeds the earth. Remember, fire, the ashes go into the earth. Wood controls the earth. It's the roots from the trees of wood that go into the earth and can eat up the earth, can also the wooden tools can plow the earth. So wood can control earth. So these two elements that we've gone over first can play an effect on the central element, the earth element, in terms of improving digestion. Now, here's the next question that was related to all this. How do you detect which element is imbalanced? Really good question, right? How do you detect which element is imbalanced? Number one, ask the person how they're doing, where they're blocked, what problems that they're having in their life, and especially in their body. Ask and you shall receive. Asking good 5-element questions is essential in making an assessment in traditional Chinese medicine. Just asking. Then listening to what they say, but also listening to the sound of their voice. If their voice is, well, I've been I just love to eat sugar, and how are you doing? That sing-song sweet voice tells you to work on the earth, especially the points below the knees. That grounds the person. The most grounding point, stomach 36. So you're listening, or you may be listening to, as you naturally would, wow, this person has a lot of energy in their stomach. I hear all that gurgling. Oh wow, there's sounds coming up from the stomach, either belching or burping. Those are very earthy sounds. It's an indication that the earth element is imbalanced, that it needs work. Trying to be really clear with you so that you feel, oh God, I got something out of this webinar. Also feel the body. Remember, the earth is all about being in your body. So feel what? Feel the back. Where is it tight? Around the mid lower part of the back. You know where the stomach is and the spleen and all the digestive organs are is about right in here. Okay, well, right in back of that level, in here, this is my lower back in here, just above the lower back in here is where there'd be tightness or soreness. Feel the back. It will tell you a lot, and it's very effective for working with people. You can't go wrong with it. Feel the shoulders and the neck. Where is it tight? Because you want to release the tensions in the body. Also feel this point here. Stomach. There we go. That's the point right there. Stomach. This is lung 1. So it's going to tell you what's going on with the chest and with the breath, because it's the first point on the lung meridian. Also feel the intestines and the stomach area. And that would be go for gently and slowly CV6, just below your navel. These are things to feel for. Also, this is what I do, is I bend the knees if the person's lying down on their back, and I bring their knees into their chest, slowly. That stretches and opens up the lower back, which is really good for the kidneys. Can't wait to get to the kidneys. That's where the energy is stored. So, let's always finish with a final balancing, because then there's absolutely no harm. You want to use the central points and go down into the toes and ground the person. And if you do that, you don't need to worry. That's what's wonderful about acupressure. When you get to that place, if you just play back what I just was talking about, you won't have to worry. Work with the earth element. Work on the points below the knees. Very powerful and grounding. Massage the back and feel where the tensions are. The shoulders, this point, and also CV6. Always end with the final, well, I said also bring the knees into the chest. That flattens the lower back, opens the energy in the kidneys. Woo! Life couldn't be better. When it's a service, everybody should have that. And then the final balancing. Wonderful. Then, I know you want to do such a great job and heal people everywhere. That's what I love about you. But why should you worry about it? Don't worry. It never did anybody any good. Because there's a few points I know. There are. To let your tensions go, don't worry. Be happy. Bum ba dum bum bum. When you worry, your face will frown. Oh, that will bring everybody down, so don't worry. Hey! Be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Do 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 do. Don't worry. Do do do. You sing with me. Do do do. Dum dum. Do 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 do. Don't worry, be happy. If your body has some trouble, oh, pobrecita, you poor little thing. Even if it has trouble, don't worry. If your body has some trouble, I'm telling you, shallow breathing will make it double. Don't worry. Do, 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 do. Breathe deeply and appreciate life. There's nothing more important. Do it with me. Do, 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 do. Don't worry. Do, 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 do. Be happy. Do, 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 do. This is the best part of the webinar. Doom, da, doom, doom, doom. If you have arthritic joints, Oh, try a few acupressure points. Don't worry. Doom, da doom, 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 doom. Be happy. Now, if your neck and shoulders seem to ache, hey, press the points for heaven's sake. Don't worry. Doom, da doom, doom. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Do 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 do. Come on, do it with me. Do 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 do. Dum dum. Do 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 do. Clap your hands. Get up and dance. Do 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 do. Be ecstatic. This is life. This is the best. Do 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 do. Yum dum dum. Do 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 do. Let's say we are a pigeon on a little telephone pole. From pole to pole, it connects the telephone wire, and we're this little pigeon looking down. Why would this little pigeon ever worry? This little pigeon is just overlooking life and may fly across the field. And why should this little pigeon worry? If this little pigeon doesn't worry, why should you? There's a few points I know. There's a few points you know. To let your tensions go. Don't worry. Be happy. I love you so much for how much you want to heal with your hands. This is what it's all about. And I so appreciate you for being part of the acupressure healing circle. You are sacred to me, and I so appreciate you for sticking with it. We are over halfway through the acupressure training circle, and because there's 3 parts. You've already done part 1, which is on the meridians. We're over halfway finished with the 5 elements. Yeah, and you'll get a certificate at the end of the year. And then the last 3rd year, which I'd like to involve you in. And the next time we do a webinar and I ask for questions, I'd love your feedback on what you'd like to learn from me. And I'll share with you more about it. So, often I say aloha, shalom, God bless you, I love you, and keep doing your healing work. It's sacred. Make it a priority. Call somebody up or text them or email them, 1 or 2 or 3 people. Do 3 people. Maybe, some of the people are busy or they didn't get it. They didn't get it. Hey, put it out there. Put out your love. Put out your healing. It comes back. As you well know, it comes back 100-fold. I send you love, blessings, beauty, and healing wishes.